Out there, YouTube, this is SCL0320 representing JVS.
Yeah, this is Joe Johnson 030.
We are back for a non-spoiler review for Fear the Walking Dead. I can't actually pronounce the name of this episode, but it was episode 6. This is, like I said, this is non-spoiler review. It's our first reaction of it. I'm kind of mixed bag with this episode because the very first part of this episode that takes place in the church and the resolve of things that happen, it was really, it was hard to watch on a lot of different ways. And at the same exact time, Strand is faced with a really hard choice with the events that happened in the beginning of the episode that I thought were well acted, well executed. Even like Travis has really good points in this episode that I think his character is really evolving and progressing versus kind of just being stagnant. But there's a lot of other confusing things that are kind of like making me feel really kind of jaded from the perspective of this episode. But what were some of the things you thought about this episode without going into too many spoiler territory?
I don't know. It's kind of, I felt like they had a lot of plot, I felt like they had like a lot of plot developments that were just there. But without, yeah, I feel like they had like a lot of plot elements that were just there, for the sake of progressing the story versus actually developing something that I feel like would be more natural. Some of the things that happened just didn't really feel like a natural progression of what would take place, as far as the character development. And where they're at right now. Granted, this episode they have had time to actually slow down and recoup, but it's just like I'm watching some of the characters. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, I don't really see the connection. So
yeah, each character, they're evolving like Joe said, but to what we don't really know. I really feel like honestly they're all breaking down. They're becoming jaded, and they're becoming like implosive versus explosive. Like they're literally receding within themselves with their inner demons in a lot of different stands. Specifically, Daniel, Nick, Chris. Matter of fact, even the relationship strain with Madison and Travis is very prevalent. Only one that seems like they're kind of okay, but not is Alicia. It's really strange. And then Daniel's daughter, they seem like they're okay. But everybody else is in inner turmoil. But I have to say, like Strand, the guy that plays Strand is an amazing actor. Like he delivers his scenes well. In every single scene, he's emoting. Cliff Curtis, that plays Travis, the same thing. So that's one thing I'm really torn by this episode. Like, I don't have any real problem with it. I worry that this feels like season 2 of Herschel's Farm, where they might stay stagnant and things happen that don't necessarily mean anything for the progression of the character long term versus just towards the end of this mid-season finale that's coming up really soon. But I don't know. What would you give it as far as a rating for this episode? We're about to go into spoilers.
I don't really like it. I didn't really like this episode, to be honest with you. I'll probably give it maybe, probably give it a 5, to be honest. I didn't really like it. Yeah, I didn't really like this episode.
I'm torn between like a 7.5 and an 8 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed the first part. The first part really, really hit home. There are some questionable actions that are taking this that, for me and Joe, might come on the borderline of blasphemous. But we'll talk about more of that in the spoiler review. But I'm between, like I said, 7.5 and 8 out of 10. I still was intrigued by the episode, but like Joe said, like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. So I'm more leaning towards the 7.5 out of 10. But we'll be right back. We're going to do the spoiler review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't going to stop. Peace, y'all.